viewers, Rectangular back, this time with another review. We have the Captain America the Winter Soldier Marvel Legends Infinite Series Captain America. Huge name for a 6-inch figure. Now this is the Build-A-Figure Collection Mandroid, and he comes with, this should be the right leg of Mandroid. So standard packaging that we are now very familiar with. Figure comes with spare hands, spare head, and his shield. Painted in the, this is the movie version of Captain America. It's got the blue and silver costume and shield to match. And flip it around on the back. Nice picture of the figure and all the other figures in the wave. So sadly, the initial release of this wave, you get Red Skull and Zemo in addition to the main 3 characters. So crossing our fingers that we get a refresh wave with the Hydra Soldier and AIM Soldier, but as of yet it looks like we are just getting Zemo and Red Skull. Alright, so I think you're all pretty familiar with the packaging, and let's go ahead and get him out of the box and get a closer look. Here we've got all the accessories or additional items that the figure comes with. Got the shield from the movie, which is in the blue and silver paint scheme, which is very well done. Looks like could use a little bit more paint on the silver on the outer ring there, but the star looks really good. It's a really nice plastic, again, very similar to what we've been getting with the Iron Man figures, where it's paint seems to be injected into the plastic, and then they did a pretty good job of sculpting, and there's no paint. Looks like they just glued brown plastic straps into the inside of the shield, so there's no paint on the buckles, and it's just a solid brown plastic. There's no shading there, but pretty good. I like it. And then we have the spare hands that he comes with. Pretty well done on there. Swap positions on that. And did notice a few, there was 3 on the pegs that I could look through, and a couple of them the paint was a little bit faint on the hands, so I went with the one that seemed to be, the best painted. You can see there's a little bit of paint missing on that thumb, but overall did a pretty good job of filling in the paint on the knuckles. And this one looks good too. The top of the knuckle there, the inside of the hand is a little bit faint, and otherwise looks pretty good. These, let's see, these looks like they are on a hinge. Yes, they are. Unlike the Black Widow, these actually come on a hinge, so that's very cool. Glad that they didn't shortchange us on that. There's a lot of paint on this one, so it's going to take a little bit of work to get that hinge to actually move. Probably try to get in there with the X-Acto and loosen that up a little bit. And then we have the head sculpt. Now a lot of people were complaining it does not look like the actor Chris Evans, and I kind of think it does a little bit. I think it's a nice compromise between comic Steve Rogers that we got in the past few waves of Cap figures and Chris Evans. I think it was a nice marriage of the two, since we're forced to have to get a movie figure. At least it kind of looks a little bit like a young Steve Rogers, so I don't mind it so much. It's actually pretty decent, and tried to find the one that had the best eye paint. Again, it looks like similar to the Winter Soldier and the Black Widow, looks like the left eye leans a little bit in towards the nose. You can see that in the light there. So good, not great, but did a pretty good job as far as that goes. Looks like, can't tell if it's just looks like they did try to put some shading in the hair. So it's got, oh, it's blonde, but it kind of looks like they put a coat of gray paint on first before they put the blonde on. So it definitely stands out. It doesn't look like he's just all monotone as far as that goes. And there is no flesh tone paint, it's just flesh tone plastic, so he does have that shiny, sweaty plastic look, which is a little bit unrealistic. And last we have the right leg of the Mandroid Build-A-Figure. So nothing special about that. It's essentially the same thing that we saw with the Ironmonger. Pretty much the same mold. You know, it's got the paint kind of like silver paint injected into the gray plastic, so it does have a nice little shimmer to it. So anyway, let's go ahead and show what the actual figure looks like. So for anyone curious to see what an incomplete Mandroid looks like, he has everything except the head. There you go. Now, not a bad Build-A-Figure, but not great. I'm not happy with their selection for the BAF itself, but for those who are, you know, completists, it's not a bad figure. It's just a huge slap in the face that you have to get the Black Widow, which is one per case, in order to build it. So with 2 cases, if you bought away from each case, you're only going to be able to build 1 Mandroid. So that's just inexcusable as far as I'm concerned. But oh well, I'm not in the need of one to build this guy, but there you go. So here we have the figure out of the package, and I wanted to show off the amazing ab crunch and just great articulation that you get out of this figure. It's got him looking all the way up and crunching all the way down, so just really well done being able to put him in such a great crouching pose like that. That's going to be very nice. So yeah, right out of the package I'm pretty impressed with this guy. I didn't think I would be so impressed, especially with a movie figure. So anyway, like the sculpt, and it feels really well constructed. A lot of the figures lately have been feeling kind of rubbery in the joints, and this figure feels really solid. It reminds me a lot of the Spider-Man that we just got. Very similar. Feels like it's not that cheap of plastic. It doesn't feel like it's going to bend or warp or break. It doesn't feel brittle at all. It's like a nice, really nice blend of soft and hard plastic coming together. So very happy so far. A lot of nice texturing going on. The suit kind of has a waffle iron pattern in some of the areas like the shoulders and the chest. Hopefully that's showing up on camera. But if you own the Agent of AIM that's got that mask that's got like a waffle iron pattern on it. That's what he has at the top of the chest there, and on the top of his shoulders. All the back area, most of the back area has the same kind of pattern. Very good paint applications so far on the shoulders. The S.H.I.E.L.D logo turned out really well. It does not have one on the left shoulder, but he does have his name. It says Rogers, and a silver American flag there. You can see that. Let's see, they did not put, he just has a silver stripe on the side in place of the wings. So I guess that's the way he looks in the movie. The application of the A looks pretty good. There looks like there's just a tiny bit of paint missing at the very top of the A. Not horrible, not super noticeable. This one's got just a tiny bit of flesh paint at the center of the mask, and the nose looks like you could use a little bit more paint on the bridge of the nose there, and looks like there's a tiny bit of paint going into the chin strap. Basically, when I picked it up, one of the hardest things to fix is eyes, so I basically just went with the one that had the best looking eyes, and I think some of the others, the paint, the flesh tone kind of bled into the mask a little bit more than this guy. So you know, I compared him to the other two that were on the peg. Looks like you could use a little bit more paint on the ears as well. So let's see, what else? It's got black painted detailing on the center of the chest and the sides. Looks like brown straps on the belt, and the harness there. There's not any shading in the brown, it's just all one solid color. Let's see. Again, more waffle pattern on the pads of his costume there on the arms. It does have wrist hinge. The gloves turned out pretty well. It's a lot of small areas to get flesh tone in without overspraying onto the gloves, so that turned out pretty well. And silver on the buckle, all brown plastic for the belt. The belt is not removable, and no belt underneath. It does have red stripes on the legs and black on the front. Two tones of brown on the boots. No tread except on the heel. So yeah, there's a lot of detail, a lot of different details on the costume. Pretty good wrinkles there on the pants. So let's get into the articulation now. There's a little bit of red paint there at the top of the thigh, but other than that, pretty good. Don't see anything major as far as paint flaws, and I really like the feel of the figure. It just feels pretty solid. He does have really good, let's get into the articulation here. Put on the spare head, but let's see, as you can see, the helmet isn't really hindered that much by the sculpt, so he can look up really far and look down really far, and it's got that nice, they made the peg tall enough so that he can, you know, he can get that gooseneck going, which is really nice, because then he can look down really far and look up really far as well. So really appreciate that. Let's put on the spare head. This one's a little bit tight. There we go. So his hair does hit the back of his costume a little bit there, looking up. And looking down, let's see. Seems to not look quite far down. I think that peg is a little bit, or the head is a little bit tighter, smaller, which makes sense. There's without the helmet, the sculpt is going to be a little bit smaller. So that looks pretty good. I like that. I like that unmasked head on there. So we got the ball jointed shoulders, bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, wrist hinge. It swivels and it hinges back and forth. And he comes with the two fists, which you can swap out for the pointing finger hand on that side, and on the right side you get the saluting hand, so you can have him salute. There you go. He is a captain, and you can have him pointing at people. Pretty cool. And then we have really awesome ab crunch. It's probably one of the best ab crunches I've ever seen. Not only does he flex down really far, but he flexes all the way back. So man, you can really get him in some nice jumping poses, getting flung around. So I like that a lot. And of course you can rotate at the waist and upper thigh swivel. Got that hinge at the crotch. The sculpt is a little bit flares out a little bit, so you can't really get as much range of motion as if it was a straight ball, but still very good. Just really like the feel of it, and I like the sculpt texture. Just feels good. And of course double jointed knees, so you can go all the way back and get him in really good running poses. And he does have boot cut for the shin rotation, and really good range of motion at the ankle. So as far as articulation goes, I don't have the Marvel Now cap, but man, this thing is spectacular as far as articulation. So let's see how let's put the fist back on and check out how the shield fits. This is very similar to the shield that came with the Marvel Select movie Captain America, which I was not a big fan of. Now, the advantage of this figure over that one is that you can put the fist through, you can put the peg through the shield, there you go, and even though it's not in all the way, you can secure it. So I like that. I like that a lot. It almost gives the illusion that he's actually holding the strap. So very cool having that interchangeable hand. It's gonna help in so many different ways. Alright, so let's go ahead and do some comparisons with other Captain America figures. And here we have the figure in between two of the Captain Americas that I own. I have several face-off Captain Americas, both masked and unmasked, and he's by far my favorite. That's the Toy Biz one on the far left there. And on the far right we have the Steve Rogers Captain America, which is one of the few modern characters or incarnations of the character that I own. I don't have the latest, the Ultimate Cap or the Marvel Now Cap. So yeah, I think he's pretty good size. You know, obviously he's a movie figure, so they tend to be a little bit smaller. You know, the Toy Biz Captain America, the face-off cap, is probably the most buffed out version that we have, and I think he looks pretty similar to the Steve Rogers that we have with that very large head, and I'll put the unmasked head next to it. You can get a kind of a comparison there. Kind of looks like a younger version. The jaw is not quite so square, so I think it's a nice compromise between the actor and the comic version that they're trying to go with here. So very cool. I usually turn my nose up at movie figures pretty frequently, but this one is actually really well done. I'm very happy, and I'm actually on the fence about going back to get this guy. This figure that I am reviewing is actually going to a buddy of mine, so thank you so much, Mr. Pharaoh Black, for letting me review your figure. Alright, thanks so much for watching, and hopefully you will like the review. You share with your friends. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I love hearing back from you guys, so please leave a comment below. Alright, talk to you guys later. Bye.